Welcome back, Tankers. And today is going to be the first episode of the Sweet and Salty in World of Tanks. And this new episode is going to focus on those moments when you have the ability to completely lose your mind and rage and get salty in the game and just end up being a very toxic player. We're also going to focus on the other side of that and provide a little bit of balance and talking about those sweet moments when things just line up and the silly, crazy things that occur in World of Tanks happen. And in their replay, we are looking at Acrox 12 here from the SFRJ clan, and he has taken his IS-7 into the city on Live Oaks. And what I want you to pay attention to is that little EBR 105 wheeled vehicle flying around the map, because he's going to play an important role in today's first video. IS-7 doing his job of controlling the city, and our little EBR is flying around the map, and he probably has his headphones cranked up to some music. I can just imagine him. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Dream about it every night and day. Spread my wings and blow up today. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful shot by Acrox. And just that nice leaping shot. You see the wheeled vehicles always doing these high jumps. People missing left and right. Acrox just delivers a shot right on target, blowing him out of the sky. Well done. You get the Skeet medal from World of Tanks. They should put that one in there. In our second battle today, we are going to be following along with our friend here in the STRV 103B. And the chat is going to get fairly interesting fairly quick. And just looking at kind of behavior that just doesn't work well in multiplayer games, but it seems to be a common factor in it. So right away, the STRV 103B is going to set in the middle position. Our AMX 50B on this team decides to rush right on the middle and die quickly because, yeah, our friend in the STRV simply says, GG, the dead in the middle, bot. So, starting off right away with a little bit of salt in the chat, not too bad. A little bounce off that to Type 5. Now, I'm going to let this one play a little bit because it takes a little while to develop. One thing we're going to find a lot of is this type of gameplay getting rubbed by the scout trying to go backwards. I'm going to zoom out so we can see what's happening here. Here's a little thing, guys. I know we're setting up for a firing line here, but let's not park directly behind the stealthy tanks in front of you and just create a giant spotting line so everybody gets shot. They are making some quick work on the far side of the map, trying to get shots, which is a nice thing to do from this position. But if we watch here, there's definitely some blind shots coming in. Maybe some directed fire, but most likely blind. And our K91 on this team is the player to be watching. Because this is a situation where I'm not really sure, well, I kind of am sure which one I think is the most in the wrong here. I think both of our players end up making this situation a lot worse than it ever needs to get to be. It's something just to keep in mind when we are playing. This is a game. People do dumb things. And losing your mind over it, going full salt, going full tilt, usually is not the best way to do it. So right now, that K91 is sneaking behind the STRV. And because the K91 is lit, our STRV gets shot. And of course, he simply refers to the K91 as bot. Unspotted, and they are hitting me! And this, of course, prompts the K-91 to tell him, I was spotted! Well, of course you were. You drove out in front and shot your gun! Of course, this starts. STRV goes ahead and shoots them. Doesn't do any real damage, but that's going to cause some problems. So the STRV backs up. Put yourself behind your mother, bot! Oh, such awesome banter. Get cancer. Too high. Choose a building, not a teammate. No! I choose you! Which the STRV promptly shoots him. It's like a Pokemon battle going on here. And now we're going to have our two tanks in a duel to see who dies first. So of course, instead of actually helping our teammates out, both have been distracted with each other. Both just losing their minds. And now the STRV is getting a little ass rub from the K-91. And it is just kind of like two old people fighting for that last seat at the table. K-91 shoots our STRV. And at the same time gets banned for repeated team damage because the K-91 was rubbing up against him and taking a little bit of damage throughout the entire last segment here. And in the replay on WOT replays, the STRV is putting in the title, 1 week ban for repeated damage as the K-91 rubs up against me. Oh, can't make it up, folks. That last battle reminded me of an important lesson about the internet. When you get in an argument on the internet, everybody's pretty sure there's at least one idiot, and we're not real sure if there might be two. We're joining Spooky here. Spooky, actually too spooky for you, here on the El Haloof map. And he's already dead. He's not really important in this little story here. What I want you to pay attention to is this E75 who is in a end of game situation, down by quite a few here, and he has to try to survive against a whole bunch of enemies who are dogpiling on him. And pay attention to the two who are coming down from above. There's one of them. He takes care of the standard B. We have the Centurion coming down. We have the who's had a Wheezy up there, who are all stuck. And then we have the Artie back at the base somewhere. And these two have fallen down. Oh, we'll take this off here. Oh, okay. The Lorraine 155 comes in, rams himself to death, and these two are slowly killing themselves on each other. Oh. So this started off as a 1 versus 5, and the E75 goes ahead and clutches it by brilliantly killing 3 of the enemy by making them fall out of the gap, crushing themselves to death. This is just plain sweet. Awesome job to the E75 player, Emily 141. Great job at outsmarting all the other players and using the terrain to your advantage. From that nice finish of a battle in the last one to Miravanka, where we will be following the FE215B as it heads out to get into that nice positions to wreck some enemies. And as he takes off here, pay attention to what happens with the number 1 platoon. He's driving off towards Miravanka and takes 581 up the arse from the object 705. He immediately tries to turn to give him a shot himself, but the object 705 is running away. And we know the object 705 has to be somewhat routinely doing team damage because on the first shot he turns blue. And of course, if you turn blue in this game, that means your own team can kill you without repercussions. So our FE215B is heading over, and this kind of goes back to earlier statements I made. You have a choice here. You can go tilt, and you can go and get revenge, and that's what we're going to see the FE215B do. And it's pretty obvious the 705 is looking at him and he's waiting for him. Now, he's smart enough not to shoot back, as he will probably be banned. But now his platoon mate, the T10, is trying to shoot him. The Emil 2 isn't, which makes me wonder if he himself is hoping that the FE215B is going to go blue. And the FE215B, I think, was going to leave because the T10 was not blue, but once he goes blue, he's going to go ahead and farm him as well. Now, this is part of the problem with the game right now, is the team damage, and that there are platoons, there are people out there who intentionally try to antagonize other players just to get them into these situations where they're hoping that they're going to be able to cause damage to them and just kind of ruin their gameplay. And we've all been in these games here. The FE215B decides not to shoot the Emil 2, primarily because he's probably not blue, although maybe he comes back and shoots him here. This is one of the challenges that Wargaming needs to fix. The team damage, and granted, in front lines this last time I saw people pushing people off cliffs, not that to damage them, but to push them out of cover so that the enemies would shoot them and troll them that way. But the random shots that we see and people just reacting extremely negatively and just trying to ruin other people's gameplay just because they think it's funny is something that I'm hoping Wargaming over this next couple months, maybe even this year, actually starts to address seriously, because I think any toxic environment, especially in a game that's not super popular, if people assume that the game is toxic, it's going to make them not want to start it and play it. And it's these little situations that you see at the beginning here where the 705 just shoots the 215B just for the hell of it, and then just tries to ruin gameplay. And Wargaming, got to fix your game somehow. You have to make it that these players who are routinely doing this, and I'd bet if you look back at the game logs at the Object 705, you will find that they do team damage quite frequently, because that's the only way you turn blue, when you accidentally shoot somebody or when you intentionally shoot somebody. I know I've accidentally hit a teammate when we've been corner fighting, pulled up when I wasn't expecting, shot him in the back of the head. I don't turn blue. I go a long time without ever doing team damage. Most people in the game do. In this case, it's pretty obvious this 705 intentionally did the damage, and the 215B decided to take advantage of the fact that he turned blue. Hopefully this is the type of gameplay that we can just get out of the game. The saltiness just creates a toxic environment that is not good for the overall health of the game. We're going to go from here, and we're going to finish up with one battle that is just hilarious in how it finishes, or how the player does in it, I should say. In the final battle here, we're going to follow Corvus in his T-54 lightweight as he rushes the center town square on Abbey here. And just like a lot of light tanks on Abbey, you always have to make that decision. Am I going to go ahead and rush the middle or not? In this case, Corvus says, I'm going in. Getting met by the other enemies, and we got the fight in the middle for the center portion. And we'll just kind of follow along what happens, and oh, sugar. Now, this at that point in a game where we always run into problems, that T-54 All he had to do is not drive in front of the gun, drives in front of the gun, gets killed. And now we have Corvus, who is tapped on his side. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit so we can just watch him here. His teammates are finishing up the enemies here. Here comes up a Centurion 1. Corvus Nevermore is from the King Clan is yelling for help because he has flipped himself. And really, who hasn't done this at least once or twice? Having a little trouble getting him right side up. So the Centurion has a choice. He needs to come around the corner here. And he has two tanks here. The T-34 is hiding behind him. And here comes the Centurion. Gets tracked in the open. And is sitting right in front of the T-54 lightweight's gun. And Corvus is slowly just shooting the Centurion. And being farmed by a light tank on its side. Now, the Centurion does have help coming. The P-43 and the T-29. And what did you know? Instead of just driving around the T-54, they are going to poke out into his gun and just let the T-54 get a couple more shots in. And essentially, he gets about another 1,400 damage after he flips between the Centurion, who just pulls up and gets tracked right in front of him, and then the other two pulling out and just stopping in front of the gun. You have this entire area you could have driven to kill this lightweight without taking any hits. And nope, we're going to stop right in front of the gun so that he can shoot us. And I tell you, people, never underestimate the other tankers in the game because they will continue to surprise you on the weird things they do. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the Sweet and Salty in World of Tanks. And hopefully we continue to get some more good replays that we can go through and just show the two sides of this game that we all play. As always, good luck, have fun. And if you're not having fun, you're definitely doing it wrong.